Hey church, how you doing? My name's George and I just want to encourage you on this Monday morning with some verses from 2 Samuel. And I want to speak around this subject of the work that no one sees. And we're going to read in 2 Samuel and it's verses 13 to 17. And it says this: During harvest time, 3 of the 30 chief warriors came down to David at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. At the time, David was in the stronghold and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the 3 mighty warriors broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem and carried it back to David, but he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord. "Far be it from me, Lord, to do this," he said. "Is it not the blood of men who went at the risk of their lives?" And David would not drink it. Such were the exploits of the 3 mighty warriors. I don't know about you and whether you've had this situation, maybe in your work life, maybe at school, maybe even living at home, where you've been asked to do something. Maybe your boss has asked you to take on a project. Maybe your partner at home has asked you to do a job. And you've done that job and all of a sudden it feels like it was a wasted effort. When I picture this story, I go into the minds of the 3 mighty warriors that broke through the lines of the Philistine army to draw water from a well to give to David. All that effort to go and get a drink, to take it back to David for him to pour it out and say he can't drink it. I know my reaction at first would be one of anger. I would be very frustrated and I would probably be quite upset, want to say a few choice words to David. And then I think about what are the things that God wants from us in the situations when maybe it feels like we've put in a lot of effort to something and it doesn't get seen by someone else. Maybe it doesn't get put forward in that team meeting that we've been in at work. Maybe it feels like we might have wasted our time with a school project or something like that. Well, I think there's some responses that can actually help improve those moments for our lives, because I don't think God wants us to be angry. He doesn't want us to be frustrated about life. He definitely doesn't want us to be upset in those moments. But I think that that's down to our response and how we respond to those moments. And I think there's 3 ways in which we can really respond in a more positive light, but one that will bring so much more life for us and for the people around us. And I think the first way is we've got to react and we've got to respond with grace and understanding. You know, we've got to understand that sometimes situations and circumstances around us will change. We'll put in a heck of a lot of effort into a lot of things and some of it might not get rewarded. And we suddenly go, yeah, but what about my effort? What about what I did? Well, maybe we have to consider in the grand scheme of things that circumstances might have changed. And when we approach it with grace and understanding and we say to ourselves, you know, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe there's a reason that this thing has not happened. Then actually I believe that we'll respond with a better heart. We'll respond with a heart that is more open to understanding the situation and the circumstance around us before we go to that default position maybe of anger and maybe of upset. I believe that our lives will become more open when we approach situations with grace and understanding. I think the second way in which we respond is with the bigger picture. When we respond by thinking about what is the bigger picture here. Because there'll be a lot of times in life where we'll look at the short term. We'll have that moment, that experience where it feels like it's been a wasted effort, where it feels like maybe something has just been put to one side after all that hard work we've put in. Well, do you know, what about the lessons that God wants to teach us through that? I don't know if you've heard the phrase about the journey being just as important as the end. Well, what lessons did the warriors learn through that journey, through all that hard work to get that water for David? I want to ask you, church, what are the lessons that you can learn today from those experiences? What are the things that we've learned along the way? I believe that they can be just as important to us as actually achieving the end goal, as actually reaching that end point. It's just as important that we learn lessons. And I believe that God always wants to teach us things. But the question is, how open will our hearts be to that? And I think if we respond out of the frustration that can sometimes come with that, we'll not see those lessons. And actually, that's the short-term view, whereas the long-term view, the bigger picture, when we say, God, what were you trying to teach me through that? I believe that we'll learn so much, and that God will take us on a journey through wisdom, and we'll grow so much more from it. And I think the other way, the final way in which we can respond is through honor. You know, I think sometimes we can focus on this story and we go, oh, what about those guys? What about, all that hard work they went to? Well, I'd love to point us in the direction of just how much honor they had for David. How incredible it was that even though, they'd come to this point and David says, I need a glass of water. How honoring was it that they were willing to go for my leader, for my boss, maybe, or maybe for my teachers, maybe for the people in charge in my workplace. I'm just willing to do it anyway. Honor is an amazing culture to have in today's world. It's almost countercultural, because sometimes I see it in today's world where we don't honor each other and we don't honor our bosses. We can speak badly of them. Well, actually, what if today we went into our workplaces, we went into our schools, and we responded to the people that were in charge and responded to the people that were in leadership positions above us with honor, and said, I don't care about what happens at the end. Actually, I'm just going to do it because you've asked me to. And I believe that you have an authority over my life that I'm willing to honor. And honor opens up so many doors to us. The Bible talks so much about honor and how we should honor each other. Well, today I want to encourage you, church, as you go into your life, honor the people who are in authority around you. And when you honor them, I believe that God's going to take you on a journey so amazing, that God's going to take you and put you into positions because you respond to things out of a right heart. And he's going to put you in positions and places where you'll be able to experience amazing things, and you'll be able to see God's calling filled out in your life. But that only comes when we respond to these moments, those moments where it feels like, there's a frustration. When we respond to them out of the right heart, when we respond to them with grace and understanding, when we respond to them by viewing the bigger picture, and when we respond to them with honor. Church, I hope you have an amazing week, and I hope that's really encouraged you today. Can't wait to see you again soon. Take care.